Hey, welcome back to the Happy Place Diaries. I am Jerry, and in this video, we are going to show you my step-by-step process of editing a video. So stick around and we'll show you using Filmora 9 how we go about getting a video from that camera to you. Hey, welcome back again. This is Jerry from the Happy Place Diaries, and if you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button. We'd be glad to have you as a part of our community. And in this video, like I said, we're going to show you just how we go about editing using Filmora 9. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to show you by sharing my screen. And let's see if we can do that. So what we need to do is first get the video off of the SD card onto the computer. And so once I put my SD card into my dongle here, I have this icon right here. And if I double click that, all right, so what I'll get is this icon right here. And that's going to open up the video that is on that SD card. What I like to do is I just move that over there, and then I create a new folder, and we're going to call that make video, and that's right here. And I'm going to open that up, and then what I like to do is I take all the video and I'm going to drag it into this window. And the reason I'm doing that is so that when I move all of the video clips into Filmora 9, they are on the computer and not there. And I'll show you the second part of that process in just a second once this gets done. Okay, so what we got going on now is all of the clips off of my SD card are now on my make video folder right here. And what I've discovered is that sometimes I'll be in the process and my SD card will disconnect, or it'll come unplugged or whatever, and then I lose that video. Also, as you're editing, if you're going to be editing over time, it's important to have the video on board. Now, before I go on to the Filmora part, I'll show you that what I have created here is a folder called the transfer folder, and that's this folder right here. And what I do is as I record videos or I put together a video, I will then go back in and all the parts I'll put in that folder, and I drag it to this folder called transfer folder. And then about once a week, it might be sooner depending on what's in there, the transfer folder I'll take the entire transfer folder and put it on an external hard drive and then wipe this clean. And that saves memory on my MacBook, and it also saves all of my video so that I could go back later and check it out. Okay, so let's get into Filmora. I just kind of put this over here. Let's see. Sometimes you have to reconfigure the window just a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Filmora. So here's Filmora 9. Okay, so the first screen that you get in Filmora, I have it set this way, and you can uncheck this block and then you won't see this. But I like to start this way because then if you want to open a project or whatever, it's just right there. We're going to start a new project, and then you get the Filmora editor screen. And there's multiple ways of importing your video clips into the Filmora platform. And the way that I do the clips initially is to open up, bring this back up. I have all the clips that I want to use right here. I'll just highlight all those clips and then drag them right into that window. And there they are. There's all the clips that I want to use for the coming video. The other way to do that is to go up here to File, and then import media files, or you can also use this import feature here with the arrow down and import media files. But like I said, I like using the other one, and I'm going to move this over so you can see one of the other things that I've created. And it's a folder over here, and it is called Video Presets. It's right here. I'll open up my video presets, and these are all the graphics and stuff that I typically use in my videos. And so I always use my opener, and so that's this folder, this one right here. I always use some sort of graphic for asking for subs, and then our logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring those in just for right now. And again, I'll just drag it and drop it right in there. Drag that back over so you can see. And there they are right there. So it makes it really simple. And then if I want to grab, I'll make that bigger. If I want to grab some more, I'll just hit Media Files. And it's going to open the last file that you used, which is my video presets. And so if I want to grab the share button, I just double click on that, and there's the share button right there. So now it's easy to drag and drop into the video that you want to make. All right, so let's get into the meat again. So what I did with this video was, and this video is going to be called Perspectives. And so I'm going to drag some video. You just drag it right in. Select how you want your project settings. I want to keep it at my 30 frames a second. And there it is. The next video that I'm going to use is, actually I'm going to create a title. I'll put that. All right, so I click on titles right here. The nice thing about Filmora is you've got a selection down here where you can take and make favorite titles. And you'll notice that there's none in here right now, so I'll do some. So I'll go to titles, and some of the titles that I use frequently is this default title. So that's that one. And if I use the two-finger click on the Mac, I can hit Add to Favorites. And the other one that you see on our videos quite frequently is this one here, Title 10. And I'll add that to favorites. Now when I open up my favorites, there they are. So you don't have to go hunting for your titles. And I took those out so that I could show you how to do that. Because those are the ones that I use the most frequently. And what I find is to make my video editing process smoother and faster, it's so much easier to set a bunch of favorites. And some other places that you have favorites is look in transitions. Again, you have a favorite tab here. And these are the ones that you see most frequently on our videos. And they're favorites, they got the little heart by them. And so when I open up a transition or for transitions, because I want my videos to look consistent, I'm using these out of my favorites folder. And as I find one that really catches my eye, I'm going to go ahead and drop those into favorites. But for consistency's sake and for the look of our videos, these are our favorite transitions. And you could do the same thing with effects. There's a favorite deal there. And I really don't have any favorite effects yet. Same thing with some elements. Again, we don't use elements a lot in our videos, so I haven't created any of those. All right, so let's go back to media. I have my media folder. And, for consistency's sake, what you guys always see in our video is our logo right off the bat. And so I'm going to drag it and just lay it right on top of that first video. And I'm going to drag it to the end of that video. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I hope you're following the cursor, and put it right on top of our logo and double click on that. It's going to bring up this on what I want the video or the logo to really look like. And I really don't do much over here other than click OK, or double click, I'm sorry. I'm going to grab the corners and I'm going to make it smaller. And then I'm going to just drag it over here, because I just want it to kind of be there like a watermark of sorts for that initial video. And then I'm going to hit OK. Then the next thing that you always see is an intro or the hook. And that would be this part. Oh, I was going to create a title first. So let's go back to titles. I'm going to create a title, and it's going to be this title right here. So I'm going to drag that in. And I'm actually going to layer a title because of the idea that I have. And I'm going to put the title here. So if I move my marker over here, I'm going to see what the title is going to look like on the screen. And I'm going to double click on that, and it's going to bring up the text box. And I'm going to type in the title that I want. And I want it in all caps. Okay, perspective. So that's the title. I want that centered. And I'm actually, because I'm going to layer this, I'm just going to move that up into this corner here, because I think that's going to look good. Then the second part of the title that I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this right in here, and I'm going to time it out a little bit. And I can play with this, and you'll see it when I do that. Okay, so what I want here is I actually need to open up Chrome. And this is okay, I'm giving you a peek behind the scenes here. Okay, what I want is this. Okay, I'm back here, and then now I'm in that, and I'm going to paste what I just copied off the internet. Okay, now here, because it's really big, I'm going to scale that down to, let's call it 60, and see what that looks like. And you'll see the change when I hit OK over here. Okay, that didn't do what I wanted it to do. So I'm just going to drag it. And the easy way to do this is really just drag it like this and just play around with what that looks like. Okay, and the other thing I can do here, go over here and hit enter. Drag that out again. Again, just trial and error, playing with it. What I need to do is I need to close this box to make it easier to work with. So I'm going to just drag this. Make the box the size that I want it in that window. And that's still too big, but that's okay, because what I can do is go like this. And again, make that box a little smaller. Keep it in the workspace here. Okay. All right. So that looks okay. And I can also, if I need to, let's knock that down to 55 and see what it looks like. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to leave it just like that. So I have the word perspective. I have the definition of perspective. And you know what? I really don't need this last part of it. I don't need an example. So I'm going to drag that, put that right there. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. All right, the nice thing about this is you can get a real-time look at what you're producing. So I'm going to view it from the beginning, just kind of see what that looks like, and maybe throw a transition in at the same time. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so what I didn't like was that the word perspective disappeared. So I'm gonna take this transition out of there. So I'm gonna drag this to there and then just go back this far and see what it looks like. Okay, now we're into the video portion. And so the first thing I need to do with the video before I start cutting it up is double click on that, and I'm going to get this screen back up again. I scroll all the way to the bottom and I hit auto enhance, and that basically color corrects it. And I've got it kind of on a preset at 50.0, so that's right in the middle, and it typically makes our videos look pretty good. If I wait and start cutting and then do that, then I got to do each piece. So this way I've got the entire piece, and I'll show you how big that is, it's that big. I like making it bigger because it's easier to look at the audio. And this is where I make my initial cut. I drag until I get to the very first part where I start to talk, and I slice. I'm going to take this piece out, and it's gone. With Filmora 9, it will auto shift for you unless you turn it off. And they call it snap editing. All right, so I'm going to go from perspective. Now here's where I want a little bit of a transition, and I can squeeze that to shorten the transition that way. And let's take a look at this. So it's about perspective. Okay, so I cut too much. All right, so what I need to do is I can either hit Command Z and it'll bring me back. And I think what I need to do is look at it first. So it's about perspective. Okay, I didn't cut too much. So now I'm going to cut that again. And I'm going to do it without the transition. So it's about perspective. The stuff that you see, the stuff that you don't see. Okay, so I don't want to give too much of the video away, but that's basically where we're at there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute this clip because this was the clip that had light bulbs. Okay, I'll show you that again. And the reason I'm going to mute that is because I'm going to add some music. Now, Filmora has a pretty good audio library with it. And let's just go ahead and use this one because I've used it in the past. So I'm going to take this one called Drift, and I'm just going to drag it and lay it right in there. Okay? And I know that I'm going to have to toggle it down once I get to the vocals. So before I do anything with it, I'm going to move my marker to right there. I'm going to highlight the audio, that's this green bar, and I'm going to go ahead and snip it. And I'm going to, there's a little white button right here, and I'm going to drag that down so that it starts getting quieter as the vocal comes in. And then I'm going to pull this down because I might want that, but I can always cut that out later. I'm going to turn that down to where there's a little bit of music behind me, and see how long this audio clip is. Yeah, it goes on for a while, so that's fine. All right, so now let's take a look at what we got. Hit the block, it automatically snaps you back to the front. I need to drag this. Drag this. Okay, I didn't do that correctly. That's okay. Let me bring this back up to full. Bring that back up to right there. Put the marker here. You get to see me do it twice. Hey, it's not always pretty, folks. Then we're going to turn that down and we'll drag that down. We'll see what the volume sounds like. Okay, snap back to the beginning and let's take a look at that. And if you want, we can make this view screen just a little bit bigger so you can see that. Okay, here we go. So it's about perspective. The stuff that you see. Okay, so I like that. I like the volume is all good. And that's that. Okay, so for purposes of time, I'm not going to edit the entire video in front of you, but I'll show you how to I'll show you how to drag some of the graphics in here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to media and let's just stuff that you don't see. Okay. We're going to cut right here. And we cut both of those. And the reason that we're going to do that is because I'm going to drag this piece. What I like to do is drag my intro in on top, and then I can highlight both of these. Drag that there. Drag that there. And I'm going to go back to transitions. And this is the graphic, and I'll pop that down. This is the graphic that you always see at the beginning of our videos. I'm going to compress that just a little bit. And then we'll rewind here and see where we're at by throwing the intro in. That you see, the stuff that you don't see. Hey, welcome back to That Place Diaries. Okay, so that's where we're at. So the music and everything stayed in sync, and it looks like everything is looking good. Now all I have to do is drag the rest of my video clips in and throw our graphics in on top. So let me go ahead and throw, well, I'll throw this sub one in. I'm not going to use it here, but okay. So all I have to do is take it and drag it where I want it. It's really big, too big. So if I double click on it on the screen there, I can grab the corners and drop that down and put it wherever I want it. And I always like our graphics to drop into the lower left of the screen as you're looking at it. And I'm good. And then I can adjust the timing on that. Hey, welcome back to That Place Diaries. I'm Jerry, and today's Easter Sunday. And I just want to share... Okay, so when I dropped that graphic on top there, it really stuttered as I was previewing. So what you can do in Filmora is you hit this button right here. And what that button will do is it will... make a change here real quick. Drag that. Okay, this button right here, if I click that, it's going to render the video and it's going to smooth it out so I could see what it really looks like before it gets published, and it won't have that jerky feeling to it. So let's take a look at that again, and you'll see that now it's nice and smooth. Hey, welcome back to That Place Diaries. I'm Jerry, and today's Easter Sunday. And I just... Okay, so that's that. And then when you hit export, it'll all smooth out. So let's take that. I'm gonna look at that one more time. Welcome back to the Happy Place Diaries. Okay, now the voice and everything is in sync. Today's Easter Sunday. All right, so after you get all your graphics and stuff done on there, make sure all your time is correct, your volume is correct. With Filmora, really all you have to do is hit the export button. And you're going to get a choice on the format. And I always save mine in MP4. You could save it directly to YouTube if you'd like. You could save it to a device. You see here, Venmo, or if you're going to create a DVD, and I don't know who does that. But we're going to go format. We're going to call this one Perspective. I always save it to my desktop. That way I don't have to hunt for it. And I'm going to drop it in that folder ultimately anyway. I'm going to make sure that my settings are set for best. I'm going to hit OK. And you see with the MP4, it's going to be at 920 and 1080. I'm not filming in, I don't film in 4K. And then I'm going to hit export, which I'm not going to do right now. So that's where we're at. So it's a real simple process. And with Filmora, it's really drag and drop. And you have a lot of space. It's only showing 3 layers here, but if I need a 4th layer, all I do is drag it down there. So if I wanted to put the share in there and make a 4th layer, I could just drag it right there, and it's going to automatically, let's put it right here, it's going to automatically create that layer for me, right? And you can scale these so you can see how that works. With graphics, you don't really need to see the full graphic in your editor, so you could drag that down and be able to see all of your layers all at once. Okay, so that is the process of how we make a video, and I encourage you to play around with it. Most video editors are the same, or they're very much alike. We really like Filmora a lot. It's simple, it's easy, and we really like it a lot. Okay, so that's it. That is the process that we use in using Filmora 9. I didn't go into all the details, and I will tell you that I think the most important part for my process is having a lot of presets. Having my video format, having the preset folders, having all of my music in one place. I have music folders, my preset graphics folders, and I have a system on my desktop that allows me to quickly drag and drop things into Filmora, move them around the way I like it, play with it, tweak it a little bit, and then hit that export button, and then it's just a matter of putting it into YouTube. And we'll show you how we're going to do that too in an upcoming video. All right, again, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and share it with a friend. We really appreciate every one of you. And with that, we're going to we're going to start with our regular, A Happy Life Starts with a Happy Place. We found ours, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for coming along.